Are you ready? Welcome to the Think Millions podcast, a channel where you get an unfiltered, raw, and authentic conversation about the challenges of being an entrepreneur and tips and tricks on how you can scale your business to the next level. If you are looking to scale your business, then you're in the right place. Introducing our host, Alexa D'Agostino.
Welcome back to another episode of Think Millions. This is the podcast where big ideas meet bold action. I'm your host, as you know, Dr. Alexa D'Agostino. Today's guest is someone who truly lives and breathes the entrepreneur mindset. Joining us today is Mark Murphy, the CEO of Northeast Private Client Group, best-selling author of The Ultimate Investment, and a recognized thought leader in strategic financial planning. Mark isn't just a financial expert, he's a visionary. He transforms how entrepreneurs think about wealth, legacy, and long-term impact. And I'm excited for him today because not only does he do what he says, but Mark has also been ranked by Forbes as one of the #1 financial security professionals in New Jersey and number 15 in the entire country. I mean, that is insane. And so the fact that we even have him on today's podcast is a treat for me and for all of you. And I can't wait to dig in. Welcome, Mark.
Thank you. So I love that introduction, Alexa. I hope my mother wrote it properly. You know, it was too kind. I go that sounded great. So what a wonderful introduction you give, and thank you for having me on your show.
Well, I love what you do because even as somebody, I've been fairly successful and I still don't know everything. And every time I bring people on Think Millions podcast, or I bring people to my Wealth Mastery that do what you do, I always learn something different. And, there's been certain little tips that I've gotten from experts like you that have completely transformed my wealth. And, I've talked about this on the show many times, but listening to people that do this for a living, you help people build wealth, you help them preserve it, you help them grow it. That is how you learn how to grow your own wealth, by people that are doing it every day. And I share with everybody, we've tripled our net worth just in the last 2 years because of the advice from people like you. So to kick this off, what inspired you to get into financial planning and strategic wealth building?
I thought that when I started this company almost 40 years ago, I hoped we'd be successful, or at least I thought we'd be. I thought we'd make money, or at least I hoped we would. But this was always my vehicle to make other people's lives better. And it started, I think that, one of the things that I say the foundation of our company, there's a few foundational things, but the first thing is that I don't believe in competition. I believe in differentiation. And I think that most people that are in business are always networking. And so, you go to a group of entrepreneurs, I go, how many people network in the audience? And most of the hands go up, if not all of them. And if everybody's taking the lane of networking, I don't want to be just another guy out there networking. And what I mean by networking is they go to events or they go to things trying to get business for themselves or their firm. What we've always been has been net weavers. And the difference is that I always lead with my giving arm of trying to figure out how I can add value to that person, how I can lead by helping them get what they want, which in many cases not only disarms them, it builds not transactional, but transformational relationships. And as you know, because you've done it so well, when you pour into people, not for weeks or months or years, but for decades, you have an army of people out there that want to help you and help make a difference in the lives of the people you touch.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's, they say you are the 5 most people that you hang out with the most, right? And that's what I love with what you've done, and you've built this community. And what I love about you too, and I've done a ton of research on you, but besides the fact that you've been ranked one of the best, you're not somebody that gives cookie cutter advice, and you're called a critical thinker, a key business strategist. So what does strategy mean for you?
It starts with the fundamental thing is that I think most of the advice out there is very poor, or the advice doesn't help create, we're known as the people that help create multi-generational wealth, but also a life by design, meaning you can have all the money in the world, but if your spouse hates you, if your kids hate you, if you're sick, if you're miserable, who cares if you have a lot of money? So it's got to be both multi-generational wealth and a life by design. And I think one of the fundamental principles is that there's only 3 ways to create wealth. I always say money markets, CDs, IRAs, 401ks, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, blah, blah, blah. Most of our clients have some or all those assets. Most of our clients will have some or all those assets all their life. but at best they're inflation adjusted holding tanks. True wealth is created in one of three areas. It's investing in your business or some other operating company. It's investing in real estate. It's financing deals. I'll leave out divorce and inheritance. So ultimately, that the best investment you make is when you invest in yourself. And even for your viewers that don't have a business, they can still invest in themselves by investing in them, building their network, building their education, building their the technology and tools and leadership that they need to be able to grow and succeed. And I think the golden rules are your money has to work while you sleep, and your business has to create revenue without you doing the do.
Yeah. I mean, I think what most people don't realize too is just because your money is in the market doesn't mean you can't loan against it to then take that money and put it into something else like an alternative investment, hard money loans. And especially as you're growing wealth, there's so many other ways. And that's why I love listening to you. And you're mentioning, yes, there are traditional ways to grow wealth, but there are other ways once you get to a certain level and get the right people advising you, there's quicker ways to get to where you want to go once you opening those doors, but you have to have the right people in the room. I didn't get these opportunities until I met people like you.
What gets me so excited about what you've created in your network that you've done is that ultimately the way I see it is everybody has two businesses. The first business, and I'm sure some of your viewers are at this stage right now, or we call it like a cash flow business. You got to make enough money to cover your bills. And then after that, you got to create enough money to support your lifestyle. Well, you got to pay your mortgage, you got to pay your car payment, you got to pay whatever your expenses are. And so people can get to that level and there, but where we love to spend, and we love to help people get to that place. But what gets really excited is that everybody also has a second business. And that business is, this is the business I wish I had business.
Hmm.
And it's really, if you want to see your future in that, it's really only two things. It's the guesses and bets that you make. What are the guesses that every entrepreneur takes guesses about where they think the industry, the market, the business is going. And then what they've got to do is they've got to take bets with their money and their time to put that in place. And what's so amazing about the network you've created is that not everybody's a visionary. Nobody has full information or full transparency. Nobody knows everything. So to be able to be around a network of really smart people to help them get information so they can make the most educated guesses so that they can make the best bets. That's how a community like this really changes the world.
Yeah, and it opens doors. For example, last fall, we had an opportunity put in front of us, and they said, okay, we think it's going to be about 28% return. We can't guarantee it, but this is where we think it's going to be. Well, we just heard back that it's going to be almost 50% return, right? So, but what we did is first we said, okay, I'm obviously not going to put millions into this thing because it's unknown. So I'm only going to put a small portion. So we put like 300 grand. But look, in 6 months, I made 150,000. If I would have lost the 300,000, that would have sucked. But it's that opportunity risk. And that's where I think people, need to take, 5% of their savings. But what I find, and I'm interested to hear what you think, especially in the entrepreneur world, it's like keeping up with the Joneses sometimes. Everybody thinks that they have to live this crazy lifestyle. My wife and I strongly believe, and you're a financial advisor, you'll probably tell me we're dumb, but we don't like debt. We can't pay it in cash. We don't pay it. Doesn't mean we don't take debt out. It depends. But for us, it's a peace of mind knowing that if something were to happen tomorrow, we would be okay. But I feel like people, and I find that people are guilty in the entrepreneur world of doing this. People live way above their means. And I wonder what you think and if you've seen that as well.
To me, it's all about ARR. It's about annual recurring revenue. So ultimately, if you get your lifestyle ahead of your revenue, you're always at risk, not only with debt, but also with risk. And so I think that I'd like to see people's asset value grow, but I'd love to see people have guaranteed or highly reliable streams of income. Yeah. And so then when they spend that money or spend some portion of it, they're doing it with certainty rather than hoping they're doing it on the come or hoping they've got to make that next big sale or that next great transaction to be able to move into their lifestyle. But I think one thing you said a minute ago, which kind of jogged me, is I think that the difference between a pessimist, you say between a pessimist and an optimist. And by the way, nobody says they're a pessimist. Maybe Larry David. He's probably the only one who says he's a pessimist. They always go, oh, no, Alex, I'm not a pessimist. I'm a realist. And I always say, well, no, the difference between an optimist and a pessimist is An optimist sees failure as an anomaly, and a pessimist sees failure as what they expected. And so what we try to help entrepreneurial thinking people do is realize that failure is just another form of market research. Had we not done two or three things that failed, we might not have done one or two or three other things that help make us millions or tens of millions of dollars. And it's always a mindset. The entrepreneurship is really a mindset more than anything else. Like I think America is an idea, not a country. I think entrepreneurship is a mindset, not something that's critical. In fact, you don't have to own a business to be an entrepreneur. It's a way of being and a way of thinking.
It is a thinking.
And
you're right. Yeah.
And so that is always, the things that I see is how people think about things. It's always about, it's money is never math. Business is never math. It's always psychological. It's how you look at things and you look at the opportunity. And I think that what entrepreneurs also do is they don't look at problems. They look at problems through the prism of not the problem, but they look at the prism of a problem through what's the opportunity from that. Even when something bad goes wrong, my mindset immediately goes to, like, I mourn that loss or mourn whatever happened that was bad. I can't ignore it. But my mindset then very quickly shifts to, well, what's great about that? What did I learn from that that would make my life better?
It's funny because you're spot on. I always call it entrepreneur versus entrepreneur. And everybody thinks they have to be an entrepreneur, but there's actually a lot of really rich people that are W-2 employees that work for organizations. And so I always remind people that if you look at somebody like Tim Cook, right, he's probably richer than most entrepreneurs, and he was an entrepreneur, right? And so I completely agree. I call it W-2 mentality versus entrepreneur mentality, and they're very, very different. And just because you have an entrepreneur mentality doesn't necessarily mean you have to be the number one and the CEO, right? And so I agree with you. I think that it's definitely a mentality that leads to it. So I want to shift real quick now. So your book, The Ultimate Investment, hit number one on Amazon. Congrats. That's amazing. That is not like an easy thing to do. So that's incredible. So what is the ultimate investment?
By the way, I think we sold 25,000 copies the first week. And so I was very proud of that. But I also know that J.K. Rowling's not scared of my book sales. It's so everything. I think one of the things when you have a great deal of success like you've had, and we've had, our own share of success, is that the world has a way of telling you you're not all that. So I believe, if I can use a bad word on your podcast, you get edited out. But I'm
Italian. I curse all the time.
Can't believe your own bullshit. You can't believe your own bullshit because the world has a way of telling you you're not all that. And so I always think you got to be humble but confident. So I'm always proud of what we do, but I don't hubris is death, to people. And so I thank you for that. And one of the things I appreciate you as we get to know each other is for the amazing amount of success you've had. I just the gratitude and humility just pours through the screen. So I really respect that in a person, and I respect that in you.
Well, it's part of, I have to live by what I make other people do. And especially in my events, I have several rules. And one of them is you have to be willing to want to learn as much as you want to teach, because everybody in the room are very high level. But if you're somebody that is going to sit there with your phone in your hand, not pay attention to other people, and your laptop, you're not the right fit for my environment, because I think everybody has something to learn. And I just mentioned I've had a lot of success, but yet I'm still trying to learn from people because I still have goals I want to reach. I'm not where I want to be yet. I can't get there without people like you helping me get there. And so that's what's really important. That's why I love your book. And I want to know, so this book, like, what's the ultimate investment or the one big idea that you think? And I don't want you to give it totally away because I want people to go buy it. And I'm going to put the link in the show notes. And I'm gonna push this out as well. But just give us a little sneak peek.
Well, first of all, I want to preview something. I just literally finished last week the fourth book, which is we've trademarked the pyramid to create multi-generational wealth and a life by design, and put together a method of how people can do that. But ultimately, the best investment is always when you invest in yourself. And, I also think that, ultimately, I decided 35 years ago that I wanted to be a hero to entrepreneurs and entrepreneurial thinking people. And I basically built a business around collaborating with people that want to be a hero to the same group. And the question I think you ask yourself, or I certainly have been asked probably 10,000 times myself, is how do I grow my income? How do I grow my business? How do I grow my freedom of time to take more time off? How do I grow my freedom of relationships to spend more time with people I want to? Or how do I grow my freedom of purpose to have a purposeful life? And everyone who's watching this is one person. You're one person. I'm one person. I've always thought that was the wrong question. The right question is who do we need to collaborate with to grow our income, business, freedom of time, relationships, and purpose? And so ultimately, I don't want to have a level playing field. I don't want to even be able to run straight downhill, which is what I used to think I wanted to do. I want to be able to play, and I want to be able to know that when you have that entrepreneurial synergy, when you collaborate with people like you, that customer, that patient, that client, they immediately say, the only place that I can get that experience is by working with you and working with that group. And I think that's what everybody should aspire to do.
Yeah, I love that. I absolutely love that. So I have a last fun question. What is something that most people don't know about you?
That I have a photographic memory, that I used to play competitive chess. In fact, and I'm a master's bridge player. I was over in high school. I would always show up in my basketball uniform because the chess matches were at 4 o'clock and the basketball game was at 6 or at 8. And so, I think at the end of the day, the thing I focus on all the time is, what drives me is I just want to help as many people as I can every day. I want to create as much abundance in the world as possible. And I just want to love and have fun and just enjoy all the people that I'm with. And as a dad of 5 kids between 18 and 26, I find the business stuff, comes easy. The thing what I really focus on every day is what I really want to do is I want to be the best husband I can be to my wife, Lisa, because she deserves it. And I want to be the best father I can to my 5 kids. I just want to be better. I want to be better at those things than I was tomorrow. It's almost like sometimes I don't know about you, but like I come to work to relax. And the other stuff that's intuitive is, being this great partner and this great husband and friend and lover and confidant and all the things, just be the best you can be. And that's the thing that I work so hard to be as good as I can. I want those 5 kids to be successful. I want that, but I think it's up to them to be happy. I want them to be hardworking and thoughtful and be the best they can. And I'm always trying to figure out, am I doing it right or not doing it right? And, I guess my report card, at least on the kids, won't come out until maybe after I'm gone, whether I did a good job or not. And it's the same thing there. I mean, I think that, there's something I have that I've never seen. But I guess when you've done things as long as I have, we call it the attaboy file, where I've gotten these letters of thank you. And there's literally probably 500 or 1,000 letters and notes and cards that I've put. And when I tell Maureen, just put it in the attaboy file, which I don't even know where it is in the office. But I think after I retire, which I probably won't retire, because what am I going to do? I'm going to go get a job or go start something or start another company or do something. But I think it's the idea is that's the thing that just makes that's what we're in. It's the people business. It's about being able to, that as you have a better network, you become more powerful, you have more contacts or more other things. I don't view it as a way to create more power for myself or more wealth just for myself. I view it as a way that how can I help more people by being able to have access to these things? How can I play my small little role at not coming at people, coming underneath them and helping them create a bigger, better future?
Love it. Love it. I think everybody that's listening just got a master class today for free from you. And I know that you've created something absolutely incredible and you're helping so many people. And for me, thank you, because I'm already walking away with a few things today that I really want to think through. And I'll make sure to put hopefully your new book, if you give me a link, I'll put it in the show notes, but definitely the other 3 books that you have. I'm also going to share for everybody listening, I'm going to go ahead and share all of his socials and every which way you can get a hold of him. Make sure to follow him and share. And look, at the end of the day, the only way to learn are from people like Mark and from people that are doing incredible things. And so, Mark, thank you so much for joining us today. Love this conversation and more to come.
Thank you, Alexis. Thank you, Alexa. Appreciate you, Alexa.
Thanks so much for tuning in to this episode of Think Millions Podcast. If you're enjoying the show, please feel free to rate, subscribe, and leave a review wherever you listen to your podcasts. We really appreciate that effort, and we'll catch you in the next episode.